All right, intermittent fasting or IF. All right, this is a tool where there's different ways to break it down, but I think the most common would be the 16-8 breakdown. So 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of nutrition. Now, I take a food as medicine approach. I think the best way to detoxify the body is through consuming overall organic nutrition. So organic fruits, organic vegetables, grass-fed proteins, whatever it might be, right? So I believe that when we're bringing in organic nutrition into the body and it's micronutrient dense, it becomes very powerful and it helps now detoxify the body. What most of us want to do out there, though, is after a bad weekend or a trip, or you're away and you're feeling heavy, is that we want to put ourselves into this fasting period. All right, I think psychologically it gives us a little bit of an edge of feeling like, all right, we're ridding a lot of the junk from our body. Now, there's things I do like about fasting. I've experimented with fasting for months at a clip. One of my closest friends, Rob Yang, I remember did it for months and had an incredible response at a certain period of time. And just like myself, started feeling a little bit of a weight loss, started feeling a little lethargic. I think it's something where, it takes its course after a while. The thing you have to be really careful about also is your energy output. So if you're someone who is really burning a high level of calories, if you're someone who's always on the go, sometimes fasting, one might feel like that it's helping out with brain function and focus. But I know for athletes, I know for someone who's got to react under the gun and do that consistently, I think throwing fasting in all the time, I think you're just going to burn the candle at both ends. And after a period of time, you may start feeling lethargic. You're also not getting in the nutrients in the body needs. So if you're trying to gain muscle, if you're trying to put, weight on, size on, eating in an 8-hour window is going to be very, very difficult. If you're also eating in that 8-hour window, you have to think about that there is a certain amount of macronutrients that your body needs, all right? If you are a woman who's trying to get leaner, and her protein is way too low because they're only eating twice in that day. Maybe they're having their first meal at 1 o'clock, they're having a snack at 3, 4 o'clock, and then they're having dinner at 8 o'clock. It's tough to really produce a level of muscle when you're always in this deficit, when your protein is always in this deficit. All right, so I think the most common thing that I see is most people out there will fast and they think they're eating really well during the day, but because their blood sugar levels aren't maintained, come the evening, they're making bad decisions. They're going out, they're having a vodka, they might be eating something or reaching for the bread basket. And when it becomes this fallback plan of recovering from a bad night of eating, I think this is the worst thing for you, because now this is becoming almost a double negative on the body when it comes to stress. One, we're starving the body throughout a period of time, which I believe can build up to become stressful because we're not putting those macro and micronutrients into the body that it needs. But then when you have that window of time where you can go in and actually really focus on putting it back in those macro and micronutrients that your body needs, when you're abusing that and when you're putting in other types of poor nutrition into the body, the body now is going to become weak because you're never able to capitalize on that good, solid nutrition that you should be consuming. So on the flip side, I like it because, giving the digestive system a rest here and there, I think is something that's important. And if you're an athlete and you're used to eating high protein and getting a multiple amount of meals, I think throwing in some IF, intermittent fasting, once a month can be helpful. So the reason why I keep going back and forth is I'm showing that, I'm trying to explain that there are pros and cons to it. And but what I do know is this: some of the best physiques on the planet, some of the healthiest people I know, most of them don't do it. I mean, there are doctors that do it, and they believe that time-restricted eating, as they call it, is very positive. Last time I spoke to John Berardi on our Muscle and Fitness podcast, he was explaining that he does it, and he'll have a big lunch and a big dinner. But if you look at the amount of macro and micronutrients he's getting in those meals, he's understanding that there's such a loss in that 16-hour period of time that he's making up for that loss. So this is someone that is so smart about their own nutrition that they're able to turn around and do some time-restricted eating and play to their advantage. So I'm not here to talk you in or out of doing it or not doing it. I'm trying to tell you to think a little bit. And if you've been in a deficit for a long period of time, if you're always starving your body of nutrients, I would really take a different approach. And rather than fasting and starving your body out of the gate, I would really try and get on 3 square meals a day where you're consuming a high level of protein, a moderate to high level, depending on what your burn is, level of slow burning carbohydrates. And that could be sweet potato, my favorites, quinoa, some rices, some gluten-free oats, some fruit. And then I always like categorizing. I'll never consider fats. We're adding in fats to our animal protein. We can add them in through oils, healthy oils like olive oil, avocado oil, maybe some MCT oil, but veggies are something that I'm always trying to go really high on. I do consume a plant-strong diet, even though I am consuming a lot of animal protein. So I think for someone like myself who is going down that avenue of eating a specific way, all the time, I think giving myself a little bit of a break here and there and giving the digestive system a little bit of a break and maybe trying some time-restricted eating can be something that's beneficial, but with an understanding that my energy level could begin to diminish and I might have a level of muscle loss. Because if I'm doing time-restricted eating and I'm trying to play hockey and I'm trying to lift weights and I'm trying to run and move the way that I'm moving right now, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm like, go, 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 go. I think, again, giving examples of losing muscle, of burning muscle up is something that I want to try to avoid, and it very easily can happen if you're doing time-restricted eating. All right, so not to talk anyone in or out of it, but think about it, make your decision. If you have any questions, fire it off to me. Thanks.